Joanna, would you like to do that, or you want me to do that?
Do you want me to do the announcements? Sure. I have no
Whatever
problem.
whatever your heart desires.
I'll throw the slides up here real quick and give me a moment. We've got some announcements for you this morning. The only thing I don't like about putting the slides up is I can't see everybody. First of all, upcoming events. ICF South Florida new member orientation is Thursday, April 3rd at 7 p.m. If you've never attended a new member orientation, be sure to sign up for this. There was a thing that went out that said if you joined in the last few months, but it's really open if you've never attended one, or if you just want to know the information again because you forgot something. Also, Emerging Leaders is going to be Tuesday, April 8th at 7 p.m. I've participated in this for a few years. It's amazing. There's always something new to learn. And if you're interested in joining leadership in ICF South Florida, it's fabulous. Also, we've got How to Coach an ADHer with Coach Brooke Schnittman. So that's going to be Thursday, April 10th at noon. And that'll be hosted by Claudia. If you're wanting to do things in your coaching practice, then I encourage you to join Get Shift Done. I have to be really careful on the enunciation on that one. It's early. I haven't had my coffee yet, and it comes out wrong sometimes. Tuesday, April 15th at 1:30 p.m. It's the first and third Tuesday of the month. So it was yesterday, and it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Don't miss this one. Fernando Celis is going to be doing the ICF South Florida Barter Coaching Practice Lab on Friday, April 18th. That's the third Friday of the month at 8:30 a.m. Oh, look who's there. Lubna. Dr. Lubna Naretin. She is the author of Determined to Change, which is amazing. She's going to be doing a Coach Alati. This is an in-person session. It doesn't say this on here. Everything else is virtual that was announced. So this is in person at Graziano's Mercado down in Coral Gables. I say down in Coral Gables because I'm up by Fort Lauderdale. That's Friday, April 18th, 11:30 a.m. Please, if you can make it, join us. We would love to see your faces actually in person. And then the other in-person event is the Business Show Miami, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. May 7th and 8th. There's free admission for this, or free registration for this. And if ICF South Florida gets 250 registrants, we get a free booth. So register and tell your friends to register. I'm going to put the link in the chat as soon as I find it for you. And this gentleman, Giuseppe, how long have I known you? Because I met you at an ICF South Florida in-person event covering Lord knows what, because you cover everything. So he's an ICF Master Certified Coach, over 20 years of experience, a registered mentor coach. Look at this, 100% success rate in guiding mentees to earn their ICF credential on their first application, that's amazing. A trainer of ICF Assessors. He's a trainer of everything ICF. I'm just gonna go there. Giuseppe, what else should we know about you? I'm gonna take this down so we don't need to be looking at this while people are talking. There we go.
The way I like to say it, that I'm addicted to coaching. I have an addiction.
Yes.
Yes, and I want to share something about Giuseppe. I was in the meeting in South Florida, and I had just submitted my recording for PCC, and Giuseppe in the meeting said, as an assessor, he looks for the transcript that says one-line coach, 50-line coachee, one-line coach, 50-line coachee. And in that moment, I froze because I had submitted my recording and it was not 1:50 ratio. So the first thing I did as I left, I went home, emailed ICF, apologies, sent you the wrong recording, and took my time to do 2 more recordings, did it the right way, apologized to like 50 clients. I told them I'll do their coaching again because I realized how bad of a coach I was before I heard Giuseppe. So Giuseppe, 180 hours of training, and yet one session with you was all it took for me to realize what an amazing assessor you are.
I'm glad it worked since you
It
became
worked. I got my PCC.
So you know, Lubna is a MCC credential holder too, and so at the time she wasn't, but she was looking for that. So it worked. It worked well. Well done.
Yes, it did. And I realized how bad of a coach.
But that's not to say that that's what it takes. It takes much more. That was just a tiny
Yes,
thing.
that was just one of the many things. So I welcome you, and the floor is all yours. And welcome everyone. I'm so excited to see people from Germany, from Cayman Islands, Minnesota, North Carolina. Sorry for the cold, and from, of course, Miami and even Wilmington. Welcome, welcome. Such a variety of locations. We love you. Welcome.
Thank you all. And first of all, let me say thank you for having me here. What a tremendous, educational program you put together in the South Florida chapter. I want to say to everybody, you really are fortunate, because looking at everything they do in South Florida, I would like to be a member of that chapter. I'm not too far from it, frankly speaking, but still I'm not as involved as I would be if I was a member of ICF. So well done, especially for those that are looking, from those that are newer to our profession. You're very fortunate to be in this chapter. So I guess we have a volunteer for today, which by memory is Alex. Is that right? Alexandra, right. So Alex, I will spotlight you and me, so that we are together here and everybody can see us. Everybody else, I see a lot of friendly names there, people I know. Welcome here. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, just in the spirit of maintaining some degree of intimacy between me and Alex, everybody to go off camera. This will last for about 30 minutes or so. We will see how it goes. Every coaching conversation is just unique. So we aim for 30 to 40 minutes. Let me spotlight for everybody, and then also.
And Giuseppe, I need to read the agreement, right? Let me know when to do that.
Yes, you need to do that. So let me step back 1 second. So remove spotlight. You go ahead.
All right. So this is just to make sure that we're all on the same page. And when it comes to establishing trust and safety, we will be recording the session so that anyone that attends today can go back and catch the nuances they missed when you listen live. It's different. I think going back is really important. So this is why we will share. The session will not be posted, and it will not be available to replay for anyone not in this room. You're welcome to take notes. And we, of course, removed AI from this session. I want to thank Alex for the courage, and also Giuseppe for the wonderful session we're going to have today. It's going to be amazing. If and when Giuseppe invites you to give feedback, you will give feedback. Of course, during the session, we will be completely quiet. I invite you to be curious as you listen to the questions and the choices. And I think the best way to learn, and I saw one of you say this in the comments, it's to be open, completely open, and not try to put your voice or thinking into it. MCC does not stand for Magic Certified Coach. It just indicates mastery. And we as MCCs continue to learn as we coach. We go into a beginner's mindset when we coach. And we will have time, hopefully, Giuseppe, for you to ask, what was the session like for them? And finally, I invite the client to also share their experience. And this is completely confidential. It stays here. It's one of those sessions that will not be out. And we will all turn off our videos. Any questions before we go on? I think we're good, Giuseppe. And if you need to chat with me, please use the chat. I will be facilitating that as we go.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so back to us, Alex. Let me see if I can spotlight the two of us. 1 and 2. There we go. Alex, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yes, so for the record, we have never met, me and Alex, so it's great that we are together here. Before I begin, Alex, let me do some just a recommendation and a request to everybody. I want to say every coaching session is unique, and that's the beauty of coaching, I guess. And for in the spirit of learning, I would like everybody to observe with this learning mindset. And what I mean by that is to consider what I do and consider what you would do, how different you would do it. You know, how would you respond to what the client said? What would you do in that moment? Because then afterwards, we can have a very nice conversation if we just reflect on the various possibilities that emerge from this conversation. As Lubna said, there is no magical coaching embodied in any coach. It's just one possibility that emerged from one conversation, and there may be many others coming from each of us. Okay, it's I always like to say it's like when we dance. I love to dance tango, and when we dance tango in the room, you have one music, but every couple interpret in a different way that same music. And the same here, one conversation, but there are me and my client right now. We may go one way, you may go a different way. I'd like to have a conversation around that. So please make notes of your, wisdom, what you would do in whatever emerged in that context. Thank you, Alex. So, Alex, I'm ready to go whenever you are ready. You tell me.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, it's going to be 30 to 40 minutes. We see how far we go. It can be less, it can be more. We don't have any limitation of time within this boundaries. So, Alex, what do you bring into our coaching this morning?
Okay, so I am a new coach. I am in the process of getting my ACC. And one of the things that has been kind of holding me back, it's picking my niche or my area of focus. And yeah, I am struggling to really narrow it down or pick what it is that I want to focus on in which area.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, it's about your niche, and you also mentioned about a struggle. So defining the niche was one thing, then the struggle to identify what you want to focus on. There's probably more. What exactly would you like us to consider, or is there anything else that put everything together?
I think that there might be an underlying of, okay, like I'm holding on to like, okay, what's my niche? And then once I pick my niche, then like, okay, I'll be able to go out and promote my services and network and all of that. But okay, could there be something else, or am I holding on to the let me find my niche as an excuse to really put myself out there?
So it sounds like you have a sort of feeling there about something being under there that is taking place. Is that something that you would like to consider in addition to identifying the niche? So would you
Yeah,
like to
in
focus on what is
addition.
under there, or?
Yeah, focus mostly on trying to find clarity on the niche focus area. And if there is time, or if it flows in that direction, potentially dig a little deeper into that.
Sounds good. So shall we then focus on this? What is under this question? What is there underlying the surface?
Oh.
Shall we focus on that? Is that
Yeah,
what you want to focus on?
I'd rather focus on picking, because it's literally for my course. They are like, okay, like we want you to find a niche in order, like an area of focus, so you can start developing more of your marketing materials, etc., and all of that. So.
And so just to be on the same line, what would be a nice focus for us?
Picking my niche.
Picking your niche, fine. And when you think about picking your niche, what is coming up for you?
Transitions, life and career transitions, helping people navigate those.
Okay. So if you imagine us to be right at the end of this time together, what would you imagine having achieved there?
Having the clarity and confidence to move forward with this niche, at whatever level it is. Maybe it's a little bit more broad, maybe it's a little bit more narrow, but feeling really like, I feel really good about this. Let me start creating my, sort of like my elevator pitch, like my marketing materials, like all of that.
Perfect. And the clarity and confidence you mentioned, if I may just check on that, how would you know you have that clarity and confidence at the end of our time together?
I think it's more of a feeling.
Mm. Shall I then check with you as we move along how that feeling goes?
Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. And so considering, your niche and especially your clarity and confidence around what you want to focus on as your niche, what do you think we should together here today address, consider, explore for you by the end of our time together to really get that clarity and confidence?
Potentially, how good of a fit, is career and life transitions a good fit for me in terms of my experiences, my passions, who I would want to work with, and additionally, should I, if that is the case, which I feel pretty good about it, but should I be narrowing even further down? Is that too broad?
Okay. So we will explore potentially career life transition is something that you may want to consider. If this is something that needs to be expanded or is it too narrow? And we will check in as we move along how that confidence is, evolving in you. And you mentioned also that this is very important for you because of you doing a training. Is that what you're referring to, or is something else?
Yeah, the course, getting the ICF certification.
Okay, that's what you're aiming for. Is that the only thing, or there is more?
Well, I mean, getting a coaching business, getting it off the ground, getting to work with clients, getting to help clients, all of that.
Yeah. I suspected that. That's why I asked if there is more than just.
Definitely.
And I could be wrong, of course, but that's what I suspected. All right. So before we begin, can you just for us summarize what we agreed to work on today?
We're going to be working on picking my niche and making sure that, it feels good and I have the clarity and confidence to move forward.
Wonderful how you summarize this in very few words. How do you feel about that? Good. Ready to go?
Ready to go.
Okay. So what would you like to begin? What would be the first question you'd like to explore with me?
I don't know. I don't
You
know.
don't know. What would be in your mind if you had to pick one thing you really would like as a top priority for you to clarify? What would that be?
Is calling myself, it's like I help people navigate life and career transitions. Is that too broad, or can I still find clients in that way? How do I market myself, how do I promote myself.
Yeah. So there is an impact, it sounds like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a relation that you are building between who you're targeting and how you can market yourself. And is this something that is challenging you, this thought? Yes.
Yes.
Shall we work on this for a moment?
Yes.
So as you think about this relationship, you know, who do I target? How do I market them? Which probably, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is a way to say, how do I reach them? This niche, what is going on for you as you think about this, you know, these two pieces to this question? What is coming up for you?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that that I feel that in order for people to know how I can help them, you know, in order to like want to work with me as a coach, they're going to want to know how I'm going to be able to help them, right? And who do I specifically kind of work with? So under like if I have you know, problem with my skin, I'm going to go to the dermatologist because I know that's, you know, where they're specialized, you know, or if I know I have, you know, so sort of like a little bit like that. So making it easier for people who, for people to find me and then for me to speak their language. So if I, the more I know my audience and who I'm helping, I can speak their language in my email marketing, in my social media, in my blog posts, whatever it is.
It's, from what you're sharing with me, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like for you it's important that you feel confident, talking on confidence, that you can speak their language. That's would be a key factor for you to say, this is my niche. Did I get it right? Please feel free to disagree. Just this is what.
I haven't really thought about it. It's more of the, you know, principles and basics of marketing a business and, you know, being able to connect with the right audience and who is that right audience. So
Makes
it's
sense.
you know, that's what I'm trying to figure out, like who is my target audience.
Yes. And assuming you had the language for a moment, what else would be for you important to determine in order to, you know, to build that confidence that you have identified the right niche?
Where to find them, like how do they find me? The ecosystem of building a business and finding, you know, either through referrals or whatever it is, but you know, like oh Alex, oh you were going through a career trends, you're gonna whatever it is, it's like, oh, talk to Alex, like she'll be able to help you and coach you through that.
So essentially, where are they and how we can connect? Is that a good summary?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Right. It sounds like you thought about this a little bit. What have you been thinking that, you know, can help you work out the connection piece of this puzzle?
I think it's just a matter of making a decision. I've been like, that's it, I'm gonna work with these people and like this is my audience and let's go for it.
Making a decision for the audience you want to work with?
Yeah, making a decision for who the audience is, like who do I want to work with, who can I help the best, the most.
And so, can I touch on your intuition? Would that be something we can consider for a second?
Yeah.
Consider the language piece that we mentioned just a moment ago. And this piece of, you know, making a decision, it's about making a decision, you said. What is your intuition telling you in terms of who would be for you that audience that you can reach, that you have the language for it. I mean, it can be a variety of individuals. We are brainstorming right now. What's coming up for you?
Women who are in the 9 to 5 working corporate and are looking to exit the corporate world and start either as consultants, coaches, freelancers, more the transition from employee to self-employed.
Okay, so can I summarize with a couple of words, and maybe I'm wrong here, just from what you're saying, it sounds to me that these are all women in transition. Is that potentially something? How does that land with you?
Yeah, that sounds good. And that's the clients that I've been working with. Those have been the ones that have kind of, for some reason, always have sample sessions with them and coaching sessions with them, and that's who I end up always having conversations with. But it always ends up being beyond just that career transition. There's always an underlying like life transition going on at the same time, simultaneously. So that's why I'm like, okay, life and career transitions. Yes.
So you have identified a potential niche, and the question you have is there is let's say, more than just one element I can work with this niche. Is not just work, is life and work. There are many components I can work with. And so what questions are emerging for you considering this niche that still is a sort of not making you feel confident about serving that niche?
Well, I think potentially one is that a lot of them were coming to me as, and the people that I some of them I'm still working with, that they're coming to me for, okay, like I want to make the transition, but I also like, I want to start my business, right? So like, help me start my business and like, help me become a successful coach and get all this clients. And I'm like, I come from a marketing background, so I'm like, I'm happy to jump in and help with that. But then I feel that I myself, in the aspect, I'm happy to help them through the transition, but then imposter syndrome kicks in when it comes to like, okay, help me grow and launch my business, because I haven't been able to do that for myself in a way that is sustainable, in terms of financially sustainable, right? Like I still need another income in order to support my coaching. So I feel that I'm like, how am I supposed to, like, how can I help them in this process if I haven't been able to do it for myself?
Right. So this imposter syndrome, I think you called it, right?
Yeah.
It's kicking in at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And let me ask you then, in an ideal world, if you could really be free of this imposter syndrome, how would you imagine responding to them? What do your heart maybe would tell you, or your mind, you decide. What would be the ideal answer to those requests that you would like to, fully be capable of giving them, or confident to give them?
Strategies that work for them in order on how to grow their business. But then like, so it's the mix of like, it goes from coaching to consulting, so it merges, like it just kind of gets intertwined, right? So it would be more of telling them like, this is the strategy to move forward, like this is our, versus more of the traditional coaching model.
And have you mentioned that it's not at that point coaching but consulting? What difference that makes, if any?
To my clients, nothing. They like it.
to you?
To me, well, in terms of this, I mean, like you said, in an ideal world, I have a strategy that I know has kind of worked, but at the same time, I know that different strategies work for different people to grow a business. And there's so many different strategies out there that I don't want to feel that it's like, okay, this is a strategy to do something when there could be like so many different strategies that could work better for them. And like my way is not the only way or the best way. It's just the way that might have worked for me. But
And this awareness that there are many possibilities for people, that there are many strategies available, having this awareness, how can that in a way become for you a way to relate to your niche and to people in a way that speaks to you, to be you yourself, really speaking authentically to them?
can you repeat the question?
Yes, being aware that there are many potential strategies, how can that be for you? How can you use that awareness that there are potentially many strategies out there in the world? How can you use that awareness to serve your niche?
Helping them find a strategy that feels good for them, that works for them, rather than telling them, hey, this is the one strategy.
How do you imagine your coaching if you were able to fully do that, to help them find their own strategies?
Good, feels empowering.
So I just want to check in with you at this moment. What is it? How is your confidence feeling? How is it right now as we're progressing in this conversation?
I'm still a little bit of is this the right, I don't know. I don't know why about this niche. I just feel that because it's the one that I've been kind of focusing on, and I'm feeling like a calling to change it up a little bit more. I don't know if it's a combination of, yeah, like I mentioned, a little bit of that imposter syndrome, a combination of working with a lot of these clients that that I guess not the client so much. I think it's there's also like, I feel like there's a lot of competition out there. Not necessarily competition, but a lot of coaches that are already teaching this, and it's like it feels saturated. And maybe it's just because I'm in the world, so I see so many people doing the same thing. So I'm like, oh, I don't, and yeah, so I'm just feeling, I have mixed feelings with just sticking to helping women transition from employee to self-employed, right? To start their own business.
Yeah. So from one side, you have this awareness that you might help them. On the other side, you say, yes, but there are many of us out there. And so what is the bottom line question is because you seem to have clarity about your niche and what could potentially do for them. On the other side, you have a kind of more worried that there is competition in the world. So what is it going on for you that maybe it connects to what we were mentioning right at the beginning of the session, maybe not, which is, there is something underlying it that is more substantial that actually defining the niche itself. And I don't know, I'm just guessing. I'm just letting this, voicing this for you to consider. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know why. It just it yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like I can't just pinpoint like, okay, let me stick and work with this kind of people. Because I'm also interested in helping other people, right? Like I don't only want to help people like in that transition. I also like get excited, like helping people find, maybe like it doesn't have to be like exit corporate. It could be like, hey, let's find more enjoyment in the career that you already are. Or like, can you find maybe it's a different industry or a different role within the same company, like like navigating like those career transitions. It doesn't know, like I don't want to just limit myself to that one.
So now you mentioned something additional, that there is something about defining a niche that seems limiting you, when in fact you want to feel free, if I may use this word, to really go and serve a variety of potential clients. And so if you imagine yourself liberated in this way, what difference would that make for you?
It's like my big question is like, can I be a successful coach without having to pick a niche? Like, I don't
Yes,
want to pick a niche. I don't want to pick a niche, but it's like, how can I find, how can I grow a coaching business without, finding a focus area or an area of expertise or a niche, however you want to call it.
absolutely. And if I remember correctly, and again, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong here. We started by saying, you asking me, I need to define a niche because my program asked me to do so. And now you're asking yourself, and you're bringing to our coaching, can I just be a coach without having to do a niche, right? This is the kind of the dichotomic
The
reality
dilemma.
you are in, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you said in an ideal world, that's what you would like to do. So, like, not having a niche. So we have really a few more minutes left. Now that you have this awareness of being in between this two, let's say, requests. One is from the school and one from yourself. The school requires you to have a niche. You require yourself, you request yourself not to have one.
Well, the thing is, like, inside of me, there's also the voice, because I come from 15 years of marketing, and it's like the number one thing and one of the biggest things in marketing. It's like, know your audience, define your audience, like speak directly to your audience. And it's like the thing that I do on a daily basis to help my clients succeed. Whenever that's not in place, the message is all over. It's hard to grow brands, how to sell products. So I'm like, okay, like knowing inside of me internally, like I know how to do this. I just need to find that right audience. And then from external sources, all around the coaching industry and beyond, of like, okay, define your niche, and it's gonna really help you expand and grow your business. And it's like, but then there's like the soul in me, that my heart is like, I don't want to pick, don't make me pick.
Yeah. There is this dialogue between the soul and the brain in you right now, right? And what
Yeah.
you know of marketing is telling you one thing, the school is telling you one thing, that's the brain. And then you have your soul saying, no, I don't want that. And so how, having this now, I mean, at this point in our conversation, this is all we have available today. By having this, coming to an understanding of the dialogue that is happening inside of you between your soul and your past knowledge, with marketing and what the school has been telling you. having a right to this understanding of what is happening, what is emerging for you that is perhaps you can take it forward from this conversation onwards that can be, of help for you to continue considering and pondering as you resolve this dialogue?
I don't know, because I have two options. Try growing a business without a niche, or pick one and try that and stick to that.
So you do have two options here. Going forward, what do you want to do with these two options? I mean, they're there. What is it that it would be meaningful for you to consider from today onwards as you consider these two options?
I guess the only thing that I can think of in terms of, option one is continue, down the path of investigating, like, what is the right niche for me, like, kind of, where we started this conversation. Option two, where it's kind of more following my heart, of not picking, and it's like, okay, can I find people who have been able to grow their business as a coach without picking a niche?
So you start to figure out what possibilities you have there. And as a marketeer, having a marketing background, what you would advise yourself to as you move along with this, exploration of the options that you have? You said option one, option two. What you used the word you used before. What strategy would you like to put in place? In terms of when you want to do this, what you need to get some support, what potentially you may have in terms of additional resources that will help you to maintain this exploration alive for you as a marketeer. How would you like to go about continuing understanding how these options unfold and what is the best for you? If there were two products, which one would you like to bring to the market as a marketeer?
As a marketeer, I would recommend option one. Option one, like, pick a niche that gives you more freedom if you feel like you're not so sure about that one audience. Pick something that's a little bit more broad, like take one step back. Try different messages within your audience and see what messages, like, try to speak to different sub audiences within that larger audience and see which ones are resonating most with people and go from there.
Okay. How does that sound to you as you voice it?
Good.
Mm-hmm. To move in that direction, what do you need, if anything? It seems you are clear about that, but I wonder what else would be helpful for you.
Take action, test things, like test different messages, put my messages out there rather than staying behind the scenes, figuring out and making a choice, and just test it.
Test it. How is your feeling of, how confident are you that you may actually go there with this energy you have today to test it?
50-50, need the courage.
Need the courage, and to find this courage. Sorry, you feel good. I just wonder. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but can you do this alone, or you think it might be some additional support to find this courage that a companion or of a kind or something else that can help you maintain this courage as you move along?
Yeah, definitely like some sort of accountability partner in this.
Who
Whether
could
that
be?
is, a coach, another colleague, somebody else who is a coach who's also in the same journey, something like that.
Okay. Do you have someone in mind especially, or
I do.
yeah, you do? Okay,
Yes.
great. What else would you like to, let's say, add to this post-session activities that would make you feel that you are in the right place from now as we leave this conversation?
I'm a big fan of goals, like having a goal and like a date to it. Like, okay, what is it that I'm going to do and when am I going to do it by?
Would you like to mention this very quickly today to just have an initial, at least, definition of goal? Of course, in another, we could define it differently, but for this, in the spirit of the time we have available, what will be this goal for you today, if you want to voice it?
Go ahead and post on like both on my email newsletter, my email list, and my social media at least twice next week, 2 times next week.
Post about what?
About some sort of like messaging about who I am helping, like talking about my audience, talking to my audience, talking about the problems that help them or how I help them or what I do, like somehow speak directly to the broader audience in terms of life and career transitions. Yeah.
Having voiced that goal now, how is your confidence level right now?
I feel that confidence comes after doing what feels scary.
Yeah.
So confidence not quite there, but the commitment is.
Good. How about that? So, in the spirit of time we have available, as we start to wrap up, can you just summarize a little bit what we have achieved today so far?
Feel find a good in between the two options where and a strategy to move forward that feels good to my heart, and it's also fulfilling my marketing brain.
Good. So you ready to wrap up the session?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, I want to leave you the last word for our session. How would you like to take us to a close?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure working with you, Alex. And best
you.
wishes as you start posting on those social media.
Thank you, Giuseppe.
You're welcome. All right. Let me go back to the audience. So you can come back, everybody, and we can talk about what just happened and what you observed. Lubna, what happens now? I'll let you take the lead here.
I think we'll just open it up for observations and comments. Giuseppe, what I felt is Alex wanted advice, not coaching, and you were very, very good. And like Alex, you're a tough client to work with. And Giuseppe, I think the discovery was amazing. And Alex, I saw the light when Giuseppe focused on you feeling, and moving from the head to the heart. That's what I felt. So thank you. I think great session. I'd love to invite comments from you, Giuseppe, as well as comments
If I may, then let me say, let me
from
go
you,
to Alex
from
first.
Alex, and then the group.
Yes. So Alex, in the spirit of learning now, if you can remove your client hat and more, I mean, still you're the client, but let's say what worked well for you and what would you like, you wish it was different so that everybody, me included, can learn from this experience of working with you. If you can share your thoughts here.
What worked well for me, I would say, similar to what Dr. Lubna said, talking more like getting me out of my head, out of that, like overthinking it, more into the feeling, just because I'm more of a feeling person. And then what didn't work for me for a bit of a portion of the session, again, going back to what Dr. Lubna said, that it's like, I just want somebody to tell me what to do, right? Like, I want advice, just tell me what to do, stop asking me questions. So it felt frustrating as a client. And then it's like, oh, like, I don't know what to answer to the question that you're asking me, right? And, it's like, almost like my brain is like, if I were paying you, right? It's almost like I'm not paying you to ask me questions. I'm paying you to like tell me what to do, like, right? And it's almost, but at the same time, I totally understand like the value and empowerment that comes from the client coming up with their own answers. And it must be, and it's so hard as a coach resisting the urge to give the advice or anything in that sense.
Okay, so I will answer to that point because I think it's a valuable one. Let me ask you first, if I may, having gone through that difficult moment of the session, by having navigated through and not having received this advice from me, but instead having worked only on you, on reflection, what happened for you that you stay with you? I mean, you work through your own wisdom and not sourcing to mine. What difference made for you?
Like I said, it's more empowering. And it helps build the thought process for me rather than relying on somebody else telling me the answer.
Okay. And let me just answer to that part that you said that there is an urge to say something as a coach and then you stop it. Actually, there isn't. And the reason why there isn't is because I fully trust I totally trust you and that you will get there. There were little things that I wish I knew, like of you. I didn't know anything about you. And, if I knew you had a marketing background, I could have crafted my questions differently. I could have tapped into something else of you. So it's just the background knowledge that doesn't really help me in any other ways, but to be even more with you. That is what basically I was, obviously this is a demo and this is all the things that happen in a demo. You never know where the things go. Everybody can take a lot of things from this. But since we never met before, I know nothing about you. I was trying to learn a little bit more of you. When you open up, that helped me a little bit. So the more you know of a client in terms of background as a coach, the more you could potentially connect to that client. And what I mean by connecting is you can ask questions using a language, using references, using metaphors, using frame of reference that really help the client to work through their wisdom without using, structured frameworks that we learn in the schools that they're good for getting us started, but then we need to customize. We need to make it, unique to our clients. And I need to know a little bit of my clients in order to be able to do so. Today, I try to use a little bit of your language. I try to use a little bit of what I learned of you. Of course, I knew very little, but be reassured, I never had the urge to come forward with answers. Never had that inside me because I fully trust you. This is important, and this is for everybody. The trust and the safety, as we call it right now, is one of the foundational competencies for us. We need to maintain this alive throughout the coaching conversation. Of course, the client would like to step out of their uncomfortable zone and say, oh, come on, tell me what it is, and now we're done. But that's not how it works, because they engage us not to source into our wisdom. Otherwise, we would call ourselves advisors. They engage us or consultant, whatever. But they engage us to really facilitate their wisdom. And so we maintain that position of being their best allies, the number one fans of their lives, as we trust them finding out their solution. And the end result is, as just Alex explained, the empowerment, feeling empowered to just having gone through this uncomfortable processing, but landed somewhere. They will get somewhere and they can do something with it. Remember that in a coaching session, what happens in the coaching session is just the beginning of a change. We talk about change and transformation and this and that. It's not the end of the story, the session. The session is the beginning. It's what happens from the moment you say goodbye until you meet again. That is what is important. And we need, therefore, to create the conditions for meaningful, ongoing, sustainable actions that can lead to transformation. This is the point of having a coach relationship and a coaching conversation. It's the beginning of that change. If they could do it themselves, they wouldn't show up. They wouldn't come to us. So let's stay very focused on maintaining a position of trust and being aware that what happens in the coaching session is the beginning of a change, of a transformation, and so on. So thank you, Alex. Lubna, if it's okay with you, I'd like to open the floor and ask everybody what they observed, if they have questions, if they notice something that they would do differently. And if that's the case, to please come forward with whatever they would do differently and let us know. And if there is anything in the chat, Lubna, I'm open also. I'm happy to answer questions there. So everybody, please, you can turn on your camera if you want to, and speak to us. We have about 30 minutes, so plenty of time, right? 30 minutes, is it?
Heather, let's go ahead, Heather. Come on. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. Thank you to both of you for that masterful session. I was very intrigued by the questions. They were fantastic. I was interested in the discomfort that sometimes happened, and that's okay. I think I worked too hard on making everyone comfortable, and that's not coaching. I'm at PCC level. I'd eventually love to try to get to the MCC level, but I see clearly the difference in where I am and where I'd like to be. But I know it's a growth pattern. The coaching agreement, that was a knockout. I saw how much time was invested in that, and that it was okay to let that happen, and it was okay that there was some work on that. That was beautiful. I did have a question though. There was the use of the word we, what we're working on. When I was getting my mentoring for my PCC, I was told that I couldn't use the word we on what we're working on, and it had to be you, the client. Can you help me with that language?
Well, I like the word we because it's a partnership.
Okay.
I mean, if we are partners, both of us are working on this, but we are working in different capacities. I mean, I am supporting you to get to your results, but we are achieving this. I'm part of it. Now, if there are cultural elements, and then there are, very distinguishing preferences in any individual, I'm flexible and I can work on that. But spontaneously, I prefer the word we. But make no confusion. I know where I stand as a coach. We doesn't mean that I embrace your challenge. It's your challenge. I work with you for you to achieve it. I want you also you to feel my presence. I'm here with you. We are working together. And that's why I prefer the word we. Nowhere is written in the competencies that you or we is the language that needs to be preferred. If anything, as coaches, we may want to be open to consider with different clients, different languages. And let me say that I also coach in other languages, and we may use different acronym and pronouns, etc., as we work in different languages. So really, it's a matter of what works best for your clients. That's all.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Heather, yes, I made a point of making a sort of a coaching agreement with someone I never met, and I didn't know the topic, and etc. But really wanted you to see somehow how a coaching agreement needs to be done. And I would have taken more time, by the way. If it wasn't that I wanted to really go through the whole session, I would have taken more time. I think we were kind of done, but we could have done differently, and we could have done many more things. Since it's the very first time, usually the very first time, it takes much longer for you to agree what to work on. Believe me in that. But at least you got a sense of not to rush through. I could have said right at the beginning, oh, this is what you want to bend, bam, we go on. I could have done a difference between what happened at ACC level, at PCC level, MCC level, in terms theoretically, or what could be, identifiers of different levels of coaching. But at least you got a sense of not rushing through it. There are many things that needs to be voiced, making feel and hopefully you've noticed one thing that I did right at the end, which I recommend to everybody. Do not start the coaching without asking your client to summarize what you agreed to work on. This is not a competency thing. This is my preference. Why I like it? Because as the client voice it to you, they are talking to themselves. As they're telling you what we agreed to work on, they are telling to themselves. And as they tell him to themselves, they're actually moving towards that direction already, as they're affirming this. So I would say, just make sure that after you agreed everything, give them a chance to also voice it. Even more, it happened to me that sometimes clients, as they say it out loud, they say, maybe like today, almost 10 minutes into the session, I asked that question. So 10 minutes have gone. They're in a different place than 10 minutes earlier. And they may say, you know what? That's not really what I want to work on. Now that I mentioned this, and now that I processed a little bit my thinking, there's something else I want to work on. You're giving them this chance. So make sure that you take some time before you rush into coaching to really have them to recap what you agreed to work on. It's like when you go, and sign a contract, maybe in front of a public official, and before you sign, the public official reads through the agreement and tells you, this is what you're signing. You say, yes, I'm okay with that. You say, oh, I want to amend this. That's the idea. Anyone else?
Yes, Shauna says the agreement was masterfully managed. So again, to reaffirm what you just said, that she wants to thank you for the demonstration. Joanna says, amazing coach. Staying true to your role as a coach and not as an advisor. When Alex really wanted advice, like a business advice, you stay true to coaching, which is great. Anyone else? Karen, want to share?
Hi, Karen.
Is that me? This Karen?
Yes.
I didn't know if I was the only
We
one.
didn't know if you want to say something. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't, but I can, because thank you for that demonstration. I could feel that same tension, and I was like, that's why she's here. She wants that answer. And then I realized she wants advice. in that moment, which I think a lot of us go into a coaching session as a coachee and say, give me advice, and not really understanding that that's not what a coach does. So I think for me, it's a reminder that my coach clients, or my coachees, my clients, and I work with students, that they understand that the work is for them to do, not for me.
Exactly. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Jenny, you want to say something? I don't know if that's why you popped off camera.
Oh, I was trying to be a good student, but I put this in the feedback too, but I do appreciate, is it Giuseppe? Am I
Yes.
saying that correctly? And I think this is a very challenging thing for all of us, because we all have habitual hearing or a way that we hear. And Alex had handed several different goals, and I teach coaching every single day, and so this piece of Giuseppe fed it back to Alex and said, he started to concluded that it was what was behind the original goal, but thank goodness you asked her again, is this what we're focusing on? And Alex is like, no, I want to focus over here. And I think so many people go to, but you mentioned this other thing that really sounds juicy. And yet our clients might not be there, or this thing has to be solved before this thing. And so I just said, I put in the feedback that is so important to just feed it back and ask again, because maybe I'm hearing from what I think you're emphasizing versus what you really are emphasizing right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. Indeed, it's important for us to always check in with clients. They are driving. We are the co-pilots. And so let's make sure that we don't assume that what we heard is the meaning that we give to what we heard. Otherwise, we have our own, solo session. We need to always give it back to the client and checking with them, as much as we can, making sure that exactly that our understanding and their understanding exactly the same, so that we can coach them where they want to be coached.
Add to that,
Yes.
I also, one more thing that I appreciated was you told Alex, it sounds like there's feelings around this, but what you did not do, which I think is excellent, is you did not label the feelings anything. And so many people will quickly go, oh, I can tell that you are, that this is a heavy thing, or this is you don't know what it is. And just even giving it back and just asking people, what is this for you?
Right.
And what priority?
And thank you for noticing that too. The one thing I like to say when I suspect there is something, but I do not, to your point, Jenny, do not want to conclusively label things out of my wisdom. The formula, so to use, that I use that I use when I'm in that situation, because she mentioned confidence, etc. Say, and there is confidence, and there is this, and there is that, which she actually has mentioned. And then I add, and probably there is more, or any variation of this. That allows me to acknowledge the client that they have more, and yet I do not want to put them into a box or in a frame whereby I say to them what is more. I want them to take it out, take it away, do whatever they want, and they may come back and say, yes, there is more, there's this, there's this, there's this, or they can let it go and say, it's just about confidence, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But at least I have responded with an acknowledgement that I heard you, there is more, and leave it there. Then we see how this evolves. If it's a pattern throughout the session, I can go back to it. In fact, at some point, you may have noticed that I let go of this idea that there is something underlying. I brought it back later on. But again, in a way that it's more of an inquiry, is not that, oh, I got you, client. There is something that is under there, and we should focus on that. You know, I didn't do that. I just wanted to give it back to my client and say, look, I heard this then, I hear it again here. Is this something that is meaningful for you now to consider? No. Okay, we move on. So this is what we used to call, we still probably call it, but it used to be in the in the old guys that we listen cumulatively. In other words, we expand our listening in both dimensions, horizontally and vertically. The depth of the listening, the width of the listening, and then we put as much as we can, as humanly can, together, and we offer it to the client and say, this is what I'm listening. What do you want to do with it? And and then we leave it there for them to decide. That's what makes us different than other professionals. Let's be clear on this. This is what makes us different from other professionals. That we do not take the stance of saying, I know what's going on. Let me tell you what is going on here, and blah, blah, blah. You see, that's a key point. Thank you, Jenny. We probably have about 4 or 5 minutes. Look, I don't know, because I know you have more things to say, so I'll let you decide.
Sure. I'd love to hear from anyone. Maybe take one or two more people, thinkers in the room.
Anyone that would like to that notice something that would have done differently. That's something I also would like to hear, if there is anyone that would like to offer their thoughts.
I'm very comfortable with silence. Should we volunteer people? Shana, anything you want to share?
Maybe we can even ask Alex. Alex, is there any part of the session where you would have, if you were the coach, you would have done something differently?
I think you're muted, Alex.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm muted. No, I think it went really well. Definitely the part that you mentioned of getting to know a little bit more of who the client is definitely helps to ask questions in a different way, because it would have given you a little bit more background. But I think it went, I mean, considering it was a demo, I think it went really, really well.
Giuseppe, Elizabeth says, what is underlying the surface? Or something that you said in the agreement that she felt that was, hold on, let's see. I'd like to know how Alex felt during when Giuseppe asked you what is underlying the surface, if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember, and it's definitely for me as the coachee, as a client, it felt juicy, like somebody mentioned that word, definitely juicy, definitely something that I wanted to investigate, but more of like the pressing issue for me in the moment was more like, let me make a decision about the niche. And I appreciate that Giuseppe like honor that aspect of it, because I felt heard and seen, and it was like, okay, like could the session be longer? Could I just save it for the next session and we'll dig into that? Definitely something I want to dig into, but just like for today, this is the one thing that I want to explore a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. You want to explore that, but not right now, maybe. That's the point. As a coach, you may want to jump on something that you think, oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. But then the client is not there. We cannot just pull the client into to work on something that really belongs to their most intimate part. And remember, so let me tell you also this. Let go of the idea that every coaching conversation is transformational. It doesn't work like this. In a coaching relationship, as for any journey, you're going to have ups and downs. And in the journey, you are getting towards your goal, which can be the transformative goal in coaching terms. But you have, like, let's say we go by train between Orlando, where I am, and Miami. There are many intermediary stops. Ultimately, we will get there, but there are some stops in between. And so each coaching session is like a little stop. And it is like advancing in the journey, but you're not there yet. And again, Alex and I just met. We don't have a history of a relationship. So for a client to open up, for a client to really go deeper, for a client to really understand even that they want to work on something deeper, let alone opening up, it takes time. And in between, you may have those sessions that are not necessarily transformational, not necessarily those, wow sessions that we love to see. And you know what I mean? It just takes time as for every human relationship to evolve, right? So do not put pressure on yourself. Neither judge yourself just because that session sounds a little bit transactional. It may happen, but it's something that, like in a journey by train, is moving you forward with your client towards something more meaningful. The test is if the client is showing up to the next session. It means they're moving forward. It means they're finding meaning to work with you. Because otherwise, trust me, we are creative enough to find excuses not to show up. And I would have to say a lot of things about that too, but just let me leave it there. So consider that whatever happens in one session, it's part of a bigger puzzle, of a bigger journey, and it doesn't necessarily, if something happens that is not that deep in transformation, it doesn't mean that this is not working. It's just the nature of a human relationship.
It is part of the process, absolutely. Right. I do believe that some coaches, especially at the beginning of the journey, sometimes get disappointed, beat themselves up after the session. I wish I asked this or that. And they don't realize that it's not about them, it's the impact is on the client. There have been many times when I felt the session, was incomplete, not enough was said, and then the client emails me and says, wow, this is one of the most powerful sessions, right? So we try to project, and I think that's the biggest work for us, Giuseppe, and I thank you for bringing that up. Like, we do not want to fill the space with our own assumptions, our experiences, our thoughts and feelings, because the clients are completely, in that sense, their feelings, their experiences, and their words are different. So allow them the space to hear what they need to hear for themselves.
Exactly.
So thank you for that.
I think Heather had something to ask, and then maybe you need to take us to a clear.
Yes.
I'll make it quick. And Giuseppe, you had asked, you got to this, but I guess I'm a super direct person. And what was burning in my mind is, who does she want to work with? Who does Alex want to work with? So I guess a different way of asking it is, who is her ideal client? But it's probably because I'm in my 60s and I've been doing this for 15 years. And I didn't think about it enough when I started. Is, how do I want to spend my days? So what's her ideal life look like? Who does she want to work with? Maybe that was the wrong question, but I just wanted to add that.
But Heather, you see, you might be 100% right. And yet it's not about what I think.
Right.
I to be the best coach with my quality energy that really is open to receive whatever the client is bringing to our conversation, I need to maybe acknowledge that my thinking is that, my assumption is that, and let go. Because if I hold on to that truth, my whole coaching will be guided by that energy, by that thinking. I say, oh, come on, you just want to define this. Oh, come on, that's what you want. If that is what is happening inside me, everything that comes out of my mouth, but my body energy, my facial expression will be informed by that energy, that thought. I need to probably, at the speed of light, I need to realize that this is what is going on for me inside. I'm starting to believe that that's what my client wants. And
letting go of that.
Speed of light, let it go. To truly be in a neutral position vis-a-vis my client. And sometimes it's challenging because, to your point, I spent 50 odd years on this, whatever years. And I know that's true, but that's my truth.
You're so right. Thank you for that.
This is the idea.
And then coming to that, Heather, because I would have enjoyed that question. Like, I would have enjoyed to know the question of like, so who do you want to work with? And like getting a little bit there, but then I don't know if that would have gotten me a little bit off track,
That would have got you off track.
Get caught up in the psychoanalysis of, I would have gone in a different direction.
Right.
So I'm pointing out that would have been the wrong question, but that's MCC versus me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think Giuseppe, you really focused on the being, on the whole person being, like what is happening, which is great, amazing coaching. I want to thank you for being with us in this. I want to remind you, Alex and Giuseppe, that this will be a recording that is accessible to us. Alex, with your permission, this will be on the YouTube channel, if you allow it, so that people can learn from it. The ICF YouTube channel is not public. It's actually for ICF members only. So with your permission, it will be there if you accept. And Giuseppe as well. I hope it's okay with you. I left you the link for the survey. And I wanted to just remind you very quickly that Xavier will be with us next week. And registration is open now. The business show, May 7 and 8. It will be great for you to be there. And if we get many people registered, we get a free booth, which is amazing. It's on the events in the ICF South Florida chapter. On April 18th at 11:30, we will be having our very first Cucciolate. I'll be there, and it's live. It's in Coral Gables at 11:30. Bring get your coffee, and let's have conversations around coaching and the coaching community that we have. And also the very same day at 8:30 a.m., Fernando Solis, he will be talking about barter coaching. Check the events, and please, we'd love for you to join. And we have been pushing for live gatherings. So this is our very first, and there will be one every month where we all gather together. And slowly we will grow it to also Fort Lauderdale and also to West Palm Beach. With that said, I want to thank you. Please complete the survey. Giuseppe, there's always something to learn from you, always. So I never miss one session with Giuseppe, from the very beginning of helping me become a PCC without you knowing that you did, to now with, I really admire your insistence on her verbalizing and sharing what she wants to work on. And you did that 4 times because Alex was truly, it's painful, Alex. It's painful. Niche is a painful process. But the fact that you wanted her to verbally share is a powerful stance, and I appreciate that. And at the very end, the closing, even though we had such a short time, you insisted, again, 3-4 times for Alex to share what is she going to do, how she's going to do it. And even when Alex said, 2, I'm going to put 2 online. I'm going to post. You said, what are you going to post about? Right? So getting that clarity for her. And your energy, Alex, changed with that. So that's amazing. Thank you very much, everyone, sharing.
Can I say something that I'm very happy that those that are here today, they want to have, I'm happy to give one mentor session for free to everybody that is here today. If you want to reach out, just let me
that is
know.
amazing. That is amazing.
Have a goal specific to your coaching. I would be happy to just, you can find me online, my name and surname and family name.com, and just contact me and we'll go from there.
Wow, what a generous gift to all of you. Thank you, Giuseppe, as always.
You're welcome.
We hope to see you in future events because this is powerful.
You're very welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. It was an early coaching beginning, but it will be glorious. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.